Hi everybody, welcome to what I'm going to call is my third experimental linguistics YouTube series. But this one I thought it is something that many newbies might want to see done. There's a lot of ConLang videos out there where someone just says, here's my ConLang, let me show you my ConLang, or this is what you should do when you have a ConLang, and I'm guilty of this as well. But why not actually show what I do when creating a language, actually do it in real time? So looking at the things that I have up on my screen before we get started, I do have Microsoft Edge open. Don't judge me. Chrome and Firefox are for me. You don't get to see my bookmarks. I have WordPad open. I do not pay for Microsoft Word. My university does, but I'm not doing this in a browser. I have one article here open on phonetic symmetry I want to talk about. And I have Microsoft Paint open because I started using computers in 1995. This is where I will be doing my doodling to show you what we're working on. I just took a second and fixed all my windows so I know I can edit this in later. This is the third time I'm recording this, so if I seem a little bit exasperated already, that's why. Also, this is gonna seem a little less improvisational because I have done this already. I'm going to try to slow myself down and show you how I did it the first time in the first recording that no longer exists. But if I jump the shark on something, you let me know in the comments. Also, I'm going to need some suggestions for things, specifically the lexicon and meanings for the culture that I'm trying to create here. So, overall goals for the language. Cannot go into this without having something already set, some ideas that we're going to work with. What I've decided to do is work with a different level of formality. We're going to call it formality. That's not really what it is. Some languages, the English has lost it, the difference between you and thou, the difference between tu and usted in Spanish. There's a different level of formality depending on who you're talking to. I struggle using usted in Spanish, and you know what? Everyone's equal, so I don't see why I have to. And I know that's coming from American privilege. So something I want to work on here with formality is not necessarily the status of the person, and I want the culture of these people to be self-effacing. That everything that they do when they're talking is about the other person. It's all about the second person. It's not about the first person. I don't want to say that, anything that I do is a complete inconvenience to you and you are the one. You are the one. It's always about you. And because of that, for the phonology, I have a goal here that I want everything to be very fronted in the mouth. I'm going to have a contrast in the vowels to be forward so that I can, it's you. It's going to be very forward in the mouth and not really much in the back. I don't want it to be, look at me, look at me. That comes down to sound symbolism. I do have another video on that on my channel. Check it out. I'll do my best to remember to link it here. And then when we come to the grammar, I'm pretty sure I'm going to make everything from the first person singular. I don't know about plural. So anything that's I is actually going to be passive so that nothing is I did it, I did it. It's this was done, and if I have to say it, it was done by me. I'm not going to take credit for anything. And for culturally, I don't know where we're going to put this in here, but I also want to include that it's going to allow for first person is active when admitting fault. And I want there to be something that's related to it also in the grammar and the lexicon. So this is just our basic goals for right now. I'm going to keep this file open simply so that I can list the main points that we're working on. The next thing we need to do is look at the phonology. Looking at the vowels, I didn't even bring the vowels up in my Microsoft Paint situation here, because I've already decided what I want to do with the vowels. But so I don't jump my logic here, we're going to go look at phonetic symmetry. So in phonetics and phonology, our sounds tend to contrast by what is available to us in our mouth. Where the sounds, the location in the oral cavity where the obstruction or modification of the airstream occurs. Thank you, Jan. But what's important here is to see that the sounds of a language are usually symmetrical in a way that uses the maximum distinction between, I have back sounds and I have front sounds. I can use both of those in my mouth, and they're very clearly different. There's a difference between a k and a t because the one's in the back, one's in the front. If I'm not using one of those, I'm actually not taking advantage of one of the tools my body provides me. However, the thing that really bothers me about this idea is that it's only a tendency. Languages are, for the most part, symmetrical in their their phonetic inventory, but there are usually gaps, there are eccentricities, there are exceptions, things like that. So this is, for example, this is French and Spanish, which does not have a back nasal, because it's not a palatal nasal. Instead of having a velar nasal, French and Spanish have a palatal nasal. Yeah, instead of g. Okay, cool. Yeah, that one's a little hard to pronounce, so they just don't have it. Looking at some vowel systems, the minimum is 3. I, E, and U. E, A, E, U. I, E, and U here make a perfect little triangle within the mouth. E is forward and closed. U is back and closed. A is back and open. That's maximum distinction between the 3 sounds. There's some other systems here that I like that they show. There's a perfect square here with a 4-vowel system with Arapaho. Oh, I read that as squeamish. Squamish. So there's another 4-vowel system with a schwa added in the middle. Something I really want to avoid in English. Schwa is a very clear marker of an English speaker. It's the unstressed vowel in multisyllabic words. And then we get the 5-vowel system, the I, U, A, O, A, which is Spanish and Japanese. Very easy for English speakers to pronounce. So I do want to focus around this area. That way we don't get any or I or any of our, I'm gonna call them, they're stupid sounds. They're just really difficult to differentiate for a lot of languages, and it makes language really difficult to learn. However, I don't want it to be simply 5 because 5 is too easy, and we want it to have its own special ring to it. When you're walking down the street and you hear a foreign language, you can go, oh, that's probably this because they keep doing So what we're going to work on here is I want to add a 6th vowel. I think Persian is very interesting that it has an ah and an ah. Very English of it, really. But I'm actually looking here at lap. Lap has a 6th vowel right in the middle, and it's forward. Working again with these ideas of having a forward vowel, the E and the U, they're both very forward, but I want something in the middle. And also something that I'm very comfortable pronouncing is the French E. So we're going to add that here. I'm not even going to argue with the vowels here. We don't need the IPA symbols. We're going to go A, E, O, U. And we're going to use the IPA for the U, which is a Y. Next, consonants. Now this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. When it comes to symmetry in consonants, let's scroll down. Come on, Jan, you're rambling. Here we go. So you can see the symmetry when you're looking at the stops, but then when we get down to the fricatives, they're a little bit more forward into the mouth, and we don't use anything in the back of our mouths for fricatives in English, except for our H, which is really the exception here. You can see this also on this chart, which if you look at, here's my line. So if I draw it down let's say the middle of the mouth, here-ish, I guess there's sort of some symmetry happening. We do have some gaps in the palatal area, and English doesn't have any retroflex consonants. In my opinion, I've heard people call our R a retroflex, but that's a Chinese has a Mandarin has a retroflex R. If you know the difference, you know the difference. So there's that. And what we really need to look at is to compare the sounds down English to the IPA and see which ones we want to keep and which ones we're going to lose. Something I really want to focus on here is they don't have it listed here. So English plosives are aspirated, meaning if I say the word stop after the T, there's no real air that comes out. Stop, stop, stop. But if I say top, 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 the aspiration does come out and you can feel it. Now, that is not phonemic in English, meaning that if I have it or if I don't, I can say stop and I can say stop, stop, stop. I can't even do it. That it doesn't carry phonemic meaning in English. There's doing one or the other, we understand it as the same sound. But in some languages, those are 2 different sounds. I do not want to have any aspiration, and I think this will really be helped by the phonotactics because it's really about the placement in the word. But I want to say it now that I know that that's a part of English. I know that that's something a lot of people don't really pay attention to when teaching it, when learning it, when examining it, and I really want to focus on not using aspirated consonants. So when we get down to the word level, if anyone hears me aspirate something, please tell me, because I'm really trying not to do it. Now we can just go through the system here and see what I want to keep. I already know for sure that I do not want to have any TH sounds, so we're going to eliminate those. And I know I want to get rid of the post-alveolar affricates, which are ch and j. Or do I? Those are also very forward sounds. Do I want to keep those? What I also hear is ts and z, which in English are never initial except for the word tsunami. But because they are forward sounds, and ch and j is also forward as well, maybe I should keep those. The back sounds are what I want to eliminate a little bit. So I know we're not going to have an sound. And I would like to add in a glottal stop. Something that English does have. Wow, can you hear the sirens? Maybe you can't even hear it. Yeah. Is it clear I live in Chicago? What I'm going to do here, we're just going to use a question mark because that's the easiest thing for right now. I will show you how we're going to be typing these things in a second. So I can take this and, oh, come on, for crying out loud. Glottal stop. Boom. Yeah, I know that's not right for them. It's okay for now. It's a placeholder. Also, what I want to do, we are not going to use the English R. Instead of the English R, I would really like to simply use a flap or a tap. It makes it a lot easier for everyone to learn, and English uses it enough. So I'm going to, oh, why didn't I do this for the glottal stop? I can copy paste it. So the flap or the tap, which they have positioned here above S and Z. Oh, I do have a row for that. Great. And then we're going to take the glottal stop, come up here, and cover up this monstrosity that I... okay, well, boom. We're almost done for that. The one other thing that I would really like to add from down here is the lateral fricatives. This is a... and a... This is coming from... if your tongue is in the position to make an L, the air is coming around it on both sides. And we are going to make it a voiced and... No, we're gonna, there should be some exceptions. Let's just only do the unvoiced. I don't have a position for this on this chart. I would actually need to add in a whole other row. But for right now, I'm just gonna place it right. Well, actually, it's sort of like a lateral approximate, post-alveolar, but it's a fricative. We'll just put it right here, right now. It is next to the regular L. So I am gonna have a difference between the sound and the L sound. L will be an actual movement. It will actually release the sound L, but it will have a longer sound. You can hold it as more of a fricative before you can actually release it. And I think that makes it different enough from English that you will notice. There's a couple sounds that English doesn't have, and it's removing sounds that English does have. Also, I don't want to choose anything that I'm not even sure I can pronounce. I would need to be really looking into diving down another wiki hole. Trills, we're not going to do trills. And you know what? I think the standard nasals are enough. We're good there. Plosives, we're not going to have any anything too far back because, again, we're going to be very forward. Bilabial fricatives, as much as I would love to have a in there, seems, I'm not, what's that, SpongeBob? No, we're not doing that. So here's our basic consonant inventory, and we already know that we have our 5 vowels. Just to see this, one second. Okay, what I just did is type out all of the sounds on the consonant chart that English has a 1-to-1 use for. B, P, B, T, D, K, G, M, N, R, F, V, S, Z, H, L, and J here I am using as a Y sound. So what English would call a Y, but remember Y is up here doing E, and I don't want to use any accents, like I put like an umlaut over the U to make the E. I don't want to deal with that if I don't have to. So the J here is going to be Y sound, which is what it is in the IPA anyway. Now I have the other sounds here. There are 8 sounds that we do not have a 1-for-1 for in English. I need to have some way to write these. My new favorite program is WinCompose. I don't know why I didn't know about this when I was in school. WinCompose will allow me to type anything from emojis to Arabic without completely recoding my keyboard, because frankly I have a cheap keyboard and I don't really know how to code anything. Apparently it's a language. I've looked. It's a boring language. Everybody says I should get into coding because I know how to do linguistics, and I tried looking at coding and just whatever. So what we have are the IPA extensions. Now all I need to do is for each one of these letters, if I want to use it as actually typing, I hit, this is the code, the key that turns the WinCompose on. It says I'm going to type a WinCompose letter, better be ready, which is actually the right Alt key by default, which works for me because I don't ever use my right Alt or Control or Shift. Does anybody? I don't know. Everything's left for me. So you hit the right Alt and then you hit the letters in succession afterwards, and this symbol will pop up. So some things I want to look at for the letters we need. Okay, wrong. I don't know why I'm looking at IPA. I don't want to write in IPA. I want to write in the extended Latin alphabet, which these are other symbols that are used in other languages, or they're just like, here's all the letter A with every possible mark you could put on it. So I wanted to use, I like circumflexes. Is that what we were going to use? No, it was carens. We're going to use a caren because there's more options for carens for some of these letters. So for example, I do want to use a C with a caren as the CH. So all I have to do is hit Alt and then CC. Okay, well, that's easy enough. Alt, CC. Ta-da! So that is our CH. Next, for typing purposes, just to show that I know how to do it, the IPA of the glottal stop here is glottal stop. There we go. Question mark, period. Alt, question mark, period. Whoop, that didn't work. Alt, question mark, period. Ta-da! I can do it. SH. Well, I want CH, the caren here to really, it's showing the affricate. So let's try and do it with the other affricate, which is the j. So if I could have, let's look at the Latin extended alphabet here. J. What letter could I use for that? I could use a G, but since G in our standard consonants is back, I don't want to use that. A D would be nice. D's start to look really weird with a caren because they can't fit it because D goes above the middle line, so we'll come back to that one. Let's do it the reverse way. Let's look at all the letters that I can possibly use a caren for. While going through this, I did find what I want for the lateral fricative, which is L here with the stroke. This is, I believe it usually denotes the final L in English, like will, but that will work great for a here. So again, it is /L or L/. Cool, I got two options. Alt/L. Ta-da! So that is our LH sound. Oop, I delete it. Okay, and they're backwards. You know what? I don't need this key. We're gonna say I remember it. Famous last words. The next caren I found is actually a R, which I think would work great for the yeah, this sound is ZH is how I've written it here. It's the zh sound as in measure. I want it to be a little bit more prominent in the language, so we are going to need an actual grapheme for it. So small r with caren is again less than r. Alt less than r. Starting to feel like a retroflex R. But I want it to be zzz. Oh, now I'm going to regret not having this key out here, aren't I? And I think that leads us perfectly into having an S with a caren being the SH. We could also use a Z with a caren as the zh. And the R could be, no. I think I like the Z better, so we're gonna get rid of this. And if I'm right, Alt less than Z, ta-da! This is what happened the last time I recorded the video. I did run into a place where I'm not really sure I'm happy finding anything that works graphemically, sure, for these other sounds. So I've decided to use the actual glottal stop character. Yes, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to actually use glottal stop as a character. And I know that that works when I can use the GenWord program. Actually, I think they'll probably all work because it's, what is it, Unicode? Again, coding. Talking to the wrong person. So if I can actually use the glottal stop, so this is ch, zh, and sh, leaves me with ts, z, and j. So let's solve this problem by going back to the constant inventory. The ones that we've already covered, just so we can see here that we've already done them. I don't have to worry about S and Z. I don't have to worry about CH, SH. This is the zh sound. Good. So it's these three right here that I don't have. And part of me just wants to drop them. Z, j, z, ch, z, z, zh, sh, j. What's interesting is I sort of think that the two sounds I'm using for sh and zh, which are the Karen S and Z's, actually would make really good sense over here as a ts and z. And then that just leaves me in the same problem here with a sh and a zh. So if I can find something that would make me happy with a sh and a zh, fine. And then the j, there's no j, but there is a ch, j. Okay, exception. We do not have a j sound. There is no English j sound in what this self-efficacies. I'll come up with that later. Okay, I give up. So I'm going to decide. Either we're going to have sh and zh, or we're going to have ts and z. Because it's more forward in the mouth, it fits the story I'm trying to tell here. What we're actually going to do is I'm only going to keep these. I'm going to keep the ts, z's. I'm going to keep those, and I'm going to eliminate the sh's. So I can now take this thing, do here, and we're going to eliminate the j. Back on our master plan here, that eliminates all three of, no, it doesn't eliminate those, but it does shift some of the meanings. And I have those, and so we'll do this in order of what those actually are. This is an LH, a TS, a DZ, no, back. A CH, a DZ, a TS, and a glottal stop. Like my very scientific way of controlling all my information. I'll put this into a proper grid, make it actually look like a consonant inventory, make it proper, blah, blah, blah. So I can get rid of that. We're done with our consonants. We have the entire consonant inventory. We have our vowels. Something I wanted to point out is how many sounds we were going to have. This is a lot. Looking back at the consonant inventory, here's all of the constants from a certain, here's Aranda, which, so many nasalized consonants. And there's lap, the one I was talking about with the vowels, how it was perfect with 6. Look at all of them. Everything's palatalized. Pia, pia, bia, bia, tia. Oh, and they have length distinction. There's so much here. There's a benefit and a disadvantage to having so many. So really what we can do is to multiply the amount of vowels times the amount of consonants to find out how many monosyllabic phonemes we can create. Lap has 6 times however many are here, and that can create a really large inventory of sounds, and you have fewer and fewer synonyms, which makes it easier to create new words without overlapping sounds. So what we're going to do is come back to our master inventory, and we have a total of 21 sounds times 6, which is, hey Google, what's 21 times 6? I could have done this.
21 times 6 is 126.
126. I could have done that math. So 126. So we have a possible 126 unique phonemes. See the total we have here. That's fine. And that's not going to be a perfect system because there will be gaps in that. This will really come down to the phonotactics, which we're going to talk about next. Oh, and along the way, we might eliminate some of these consonants. I'm eyeing a few right now that maybe we're not going to like the sound of when they're put together. Are there going to be any consonant clusters? How do they work together? And that will add to the possible syllables that we can make. But I think that's great for our current phonetic inventory. So we don't need Jan anymore. I will post a link to that article. We're done with WinCompose because I have everything here I need, and I think I know how to type all the ones there are. So what's left is GenWord. GenWord is going to generate words using the rules that I give it and the sounds I provide. So over here, I can take all of my consonants. This is super simplified. I'm just going to take all of my consonants. I'm going to put it into GenWord. Let's get rid of those spaces. And then I'm going to take all my vowels, put it right there. I'm not going to worry about the RL situation right now. That's simply for it's coding. This is coding. Oh, great, coding. There's a theme to this video. But in general, this is what it looks like. And then when I give it rules for how it's going to output, how the sounds behave when they're next to each other, and then how the sounds can actually be generated, where the rules of what can be next to what. But the one thing I want to focus on before we do this is which sounds do I actually want to be more prominent in the language? Because this, we're the drop-off of frequency. I do want the language to be very frequently monosyllabic. I think it just makes it easier in general. Wow, that might change when we come to the grammar. We'll see. But also the drop-off of how often each sound is used. So if it is earlier in the list, it will be used more often, which is why I want ah to be last. That is our least used. O and are in the middle, and and then I, U, and Y are going to be much more forward, and just to make it less frequent, we'll put the E third. Here, again, anything that is further in the back of the mouth. Oh, where is my glottal stop? Things that are in the back of the mouth, I'm going to push further back. So I had a little moment of weak inspiration while I was doing this. I tried to order them from most furthest forward in the mouth to the most back in the mouth. Yeah, I have a master's in linguistics. These are technical words. So P, B, T, D, R, F, V, P, B, T, D, F, and V. We're going to put in front of T and D. P, B, F, V, T, D, R, S, Z. We're going to put the R. We're going to move the R. M and N are nasals. Those are different. Pl, L, Y, G, H, Okay, I think that's pretty good. So now this is not what the final rule is going to be. And actually, I'm going to copy this because I like what I have done here. I haven't entered any of the rules, but all I have to do down here is that if I want more and more P's to happen, we're going to hit fast, meaning that the chances that H's and glottal stops and K's and G's happen is going to fall off pretty quickly. Or you're going to slow. I'm going to do it slow. I want it to have a tendency to be forward, but I don't need it to be extreme. And I hit generate. And this has made a very, very loose script of what can happen here. We're really going to fiddle with this. To me, this looks very Slavic. Yeah, almost sort of Polish, if I'm not analyzing, the position of the letters or frequency and endings. But we're going to work on that so that it works a little bit less Polish. Maybe that's the Karens. Maybe that's the problem there. Karen. Karen. So I think we're going to stop here so that next time we can definitely dive into the phonotactics. So we have our self-effacing language. The phonology is very fronted. We haven't talked about this yet. That's fine. We're nowhere near getting there. And then our consonant and vowel inventory is ready. We have our graphemes so that I can actually type this language with no problem on my actual keyboard. So now we can dive into actually forming words and then getting into the grammar. Let me know if you have any ideas, any concepts that you think would be interesting to apply to a culture like this, because I have some very loose ideas, but I would love this to be collaborative. If I went through anything too quickly, let me know. I know this is the third time I've made this video, so Who knows what I actually skipped in the thought processes, because my mind's already done it a couple times. But I'm pretty happy with what we have here. And like, subscribe, please. I'll see you next time.